special guest, Austin Butler. I asked you guys to save your applause, and thank you. You really delivered. Um, but Baz, you really delivered. You know, this was a film that had been on your heart and on your mind for some time, and now to kind of be here celebrating it with your film family. You know, what does it mean to look at all of their individual efforts also being recognized in this way?
Well, I mean, Mandy and I were talking we had our own sort of podcast earlier, yesterday or something like that. And in that, I was saying, I think I'm a serial collaborator. I come from an acting teaching background. I really believe the most important thing is to create an environment, you know, where it's called, you know, a screenplay or we play. And children can't play if they're fearful, you know? So I create that environment, but to fill that environment, I have to have these collaborative relationships. And I was only saying to Mandy the other day, the way I really, I mean, I don't do casting, I do workshops, you know? I don't think castings really work for anyone, you know? And the other thing I do is I look into collaborators and I have a conversation with them. And if a lot of time goes by and you still have more conversation to have, then I say that is the right collaboration. You know, the conversation I had with CM, production designer, costume designer, producer, you know, thanks, I'm glad, I'll tell her. That's much appreciated. But 35 years ago, it's still going on today, you know what I mean? We're still having it. Mandy and I have it, but every single person here, I mean, I have had that conversation going on creatively. I mean, you know, John and I have been doing it for like 22 years, Mandy and I, you know, 20 years. I mean, we were just next door at the soundstage that we worked on, looking at the Elvis piano, I mean, 20 years ago, you know. So the conversations go on, and I think I feel lucky that you've all chosen to have the conversations with me. And we've got some newbies. I mean, I've only been having a conversation, we've only been having the conversation for 10 years, and this guy only 5 years, like he's a newcomer.
Yes, 5 years in, how's the conversation going, Austin?
I'd say it's going pretty well.
Well, for you also, you know, when you kind of start the conversation with Baz about making a film about, you know, such an iconic figure as Elvis Presley, and you're hearing the ideas and kind of conceptualizing what this is going to be, what struck you the most about the vision?
Well, when the idea came to me, I just thought it was the way to tell this story again, in a new way, in a complete way, with someone who really understood how to tell a music story, and how to tell a story about America, and how to tell a story from an outsider's point of view about somebody as iconic as Elvis. And when I met Baz and talked to him, and I talked to him for 3 hours the first time I talked to him, when I left, I was completely high. I walked all the way up.
It was so good, that choice.
And it was just being high on him. Honestly, it was his vision, his emotion about all of it. It was so incredible that it kept me going for 10 years, that conversation. So it needed to be good, and it was.
Austin, of course, you had the challenge of executing this vision in this way, embodying Elvis Presley, embodying the man, not just the superhero, if you will. I know you've talked a lot about the preparation, the vocal lessons, the dancing, the singing, but when I was just watching you just a few minutes ago play that piano, it was really incredible. It's incredible what it feels like it unleashed in you. You know, what would you say has been the biggest takeaway from playing this part?
Well, that was the thing that I knew before we started the journey, that I knew that there were so many bits of myself that I would have to explore and pull things out, and repressed bits of myself. You know, I wasn't a singer or a dancer before. I've always loved music, but it was something that was very personal. You know, it was always like therapy. At the end of the day, I played the piano, and my mom used to fall asleep while I just kind of improvised on the piano for a long time. The piano they're also talking about, we went next door and there's a piano around the time of Love Me Tender, that there's an image of Elvis playing this piano, and I've never seen it before, so we just went next door and got to see this piano, and I got to play it, so that was very special. That just happened 5 minutes ago. So that's what we were talking about.
I made a video, it's available in the foyer if you need a copy.
So, yeah, but I also talk a lot about how it's changed my relationship with fear, because I never felt so much responsibility and so many people believing in me. But what comes with that is the feeling that you have a lot of people you can let down. And so I didn't want to let down Elvis's family. I didn't want to let down Elvis's fans. I didn't want to let down Baz and this amazing team around us, and the studio and everybody who believed in me. And so by the time that we got there, and we're going to start filming, I mean, the terror was really high. And I'd done so much work for a year and a half, but there's those moments of truth between action and cut that you know that that's all that's ever going to be able to be edited. So I felt so much pressure those days, but the thing that I really learned was that if you do the homework and you trust in the process, and you accept the fact that that little voice is going to be in your head the whole time saying you're not enough, you're not good enough, or whatever those things are. I think we all have those limiting beliefs that are constantly there, and so it's taught me to have that conversation a lot better with that voice in my head, for sure, and just deal with fear in that way, and know that if you do the work and you allow yourself to play, that things will be able to come out of you that you never knew existed. And I mean, Baz, I remember having that conversation with Leo beforehand, where he said Baz has a beautiful way of keeping you right at the edge of what you think is possible for yourself. And so Baz gave me that gift of keeping me right out on the limb, you know, and letting me know that I'd be safe if I got to the edge and I failed, you know, that we could do it again. We could really push right to the limit of what was possible. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's something.
You did.